Today's contemplation is brought to you by the 60th gene key. Now, if you're not sure what the gene keys are, then I highly recommend clicking the link that comes with this video, printing out your free profile, and checking out all the free information that you'll find on the website. I'd also encourage any interaction, comments, questions you might have about today's video in the comment thread underneath. And I'd love some interaction, some feedback. It always makes this really juicy. Now, the 60th gene key that we're contemplating today, it's the shadow of limitation, the gift of realism, and the city of justice. So it's the key that we go to when we want to contemplate the concept of realism and the concept of justice and what that requires. And if we want to look at the shadow nature of limitation, if we're feeling this limitation in our world around us, then it's a great gene key to contemplate to help unlock that and find the gift in it. And one of the powerful things with this gene key is so much of it lies in the way that we perceive our reality, as it does with all of them. But for me, the word realism, and this is something that Gene Keys has done for me, is reclaim the power of language, our spelling, reclaim the power in these words that have been distorted over time. And for me, the word realism was a really corrupted word in my perception. It was a word that was saying, you know, you can't have your dreams. Magic does not exist. Grow up. It was the word that teachers and parents and the social interactions would be used. You know, be realistic. Stop daydreaming, kid. You know, it was a word that was thrown about to basically shut down the bigger thinking and the magical thinking and imagination. And so I created a kind of bitterness around this, right? I didn't want to use this word. I kind of pushed away from it whenever someone used it. I'd shut down and stop listening. And it was at the detriment to my own life because I was missing out on the true gift that hides within it. And through my work with the gene keys and study with this gene key, I discovered that when people were saying realism or saying things like, be realistic, stop daydreaming, they weren't actually talking about the gift frequency of realism. They were talking about the shadow frequency of limitation. And it was their own shadows of limitation that they were projecting out onto my dreams, my ideas, and my magical thinking. And so then I began to sit down and really contemplate, what is the gift of realism then? Where is the beauty in realism? And what I began to see is that realism is one of the most magical and sweetest gifts there is. You know, it is the cauldron that the witch mixes the ingredients, the sacred spells, and makes the spells in. It's the actual cauldron, the framework, the structure that holds all of the magic, that holds all of the dreams, the inspiration, and allows them to go through the alchemical process of coming into manifestation. I began to discover that realism is the frameworks that supports the seed of a dream in its early stages, so that seed has something of the old world that can hold it and support it while it's finding its feet and bridging and growing into its manifestation. And one of the most beautiful examples of the gift of realism for me is a spider's web. And, you know, I live out here in this beautiful bush, so we get to see some pretty spectacular spider webs at times. And what blows my mind is every night as the sun begins to set, you walk around and you see the spiders have found themselves a location. They've just intuitively spotted a spot. It might be between beams or trees or branches. And then they work hard. And if you've ever seen a spider weaving its web, it's a spectacular thing to watch and really slow down to see. And it begins to weave this web and this beautiful pattern. And it's working hard, because the spider dreams of its feet. It dreams of the flies, the mosquitoes, and all these things that are going to come. But first it needs to do the work. It gets in there and creates the structure that can capture and contain its dreams. So it creates this web, and then what does a spider do? It walks into the middle of the web, and it just sits there, patiently waiting, knowing that it has set up the structure. And then it begins to just sit and wait for its prey to come, and just feels the vibrations. And then something that I didn't realize, but a spider web actually creates a kind of magnetic pull with the static kind of, I think it's static electricity or something. Someone can correct me of how that works under this message. But essentially the spider web creates an electric field. So when an insect flies past, it actually, the spider web, because of this electric field, actually stretches out and catches it and contains it into the web. So by creating this this solid framework, the spider has created a framework for magic. And this magic then draws in the insects. It doesn't need to go out and chase them. And life is like that. But we need to be realistic. We need to be realistic with our dreaming. And that doesn't mean we need to limit our dreaming. But it does mean we need to take self-responsibility for the frameworks we create in our lives so that we can contain the magic. And without those healthy frameworks, those riverbanks, then no matter how much positivity and inspiration and magical thinking we may have, it will all just overflow into the boggy marsh. The spider, if it just sits on the side of a tree and dreams without creating its web, won't catch any dinner. And so for me, this contemplation of the last week of the 60th gene key has really been taking me on this journey of looking at my own life, looking at my resources of, okay, it'd be great if I had this, it would be great if I had that, but right now I don't. So instead of getting distracted by what I don't have, how about enriching myself with looking at what I do have? And then getting creative with how can I take what I do have and create a simple framework, a solid foundation in my life that can help me contain the magic so that it can begin to grow into something powerful and beautiful instead of just drinking of the magic as it passes by and continues down the river. And so I put that question to you. Do you have healthy structures in your life, healthy frameworks? And what do they look like? And I would love if you'd comment underneath if you feel inspired, because it'd be a great thing to share with each other. How do you create healthy frameworks in your life? How do you create the riverbanks of realism that allow you to stay strong and solid while the magic comes in? And I'm going to leave you with that contemplation as I sit here with my beautiful water tank, another structure of realism that, because of this realism, gets to collect the rainwater and allow us to drink and to live even more abundantly. Until next time, enjoy this gift of realism.